Well, good morning. It is a beautiful morning. In fact, it's very fallish outside. Good morning, Carol. How are you?
Well, Malcolm, I'm really, really good. And I was a little late to the mic because...
You had to go get your cutlery.
I had to go get a fork because you brought a beautiful piece of cake.
No, I've already had mine. So that's all you and John. Yeah, Carol made this very dense chocolate cake with I guess you'd call it a vanilla icing. I didn't actually ask.
That is absolutely delicious.
I didn't actually ask her about it. Very dense, but it's quite tasty. So, birthday was last week, but the celebration continues.
Yep, the hits just keep on coming. But that is absolutely delicious.
Very good.
How are you, Mal?
Doing great. Got a little sidekick over here today. Got Wilder Malcolm. He's joined us on the radio this morning. He brought in a few of his toys, so he's content over here playing while we yak.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah. So Kara also made another delicious dish yesterday.
I saw the picture of that.
Wilder and I were at the St. Matthew's Methodist, I guess it's United Methodist Church, Fall Festival yesterday. And we had a big time at the festival. Wilder played on all the inflatables. Bill Ellison and Temperance and Jeff played, so Bill invited us out. And we had a blast out there at St. Matthew's. And
so did you play on the inflatables?
I did. And we want to thank all the good folks out there for a swell Sunday afternoon at the Fall Carnival. But meanwhile, back at home, Kara was making a dish that I had seen on the internet a couple of times, and once I even forwarded it to her in hopes that she would cook it. And when we got home yesterday from the festival, lo and behold, there it was. And it's a New York Times recipe for lemony shrimp with beans, and it's those big boxcar beans, and it was flat out delicious. I think in the original recipe they use those Italian white beans. I forget what they're called. But anyway, it's a delicious recipe.
They're called gigantic white beans.
Okay, and I sent the recipe, Marissa, to you in hopes that we could repost it. I guess you can do that with the New York Times stuff. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I want to share it because it's a really robust and tasty fall. It's almost like a stew, but it's sautéed shrimp with a lot of garlic, a whole bunch of lemon, and then these wonderful big fat beans that just puff up and get all so succulent when it's time to dine.
And so for all our friends out there who take the New York Times cooking or have that app, it's called Lemony Shrimp and Bean Stew.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Officially.
So we'll post it, and we will invite you to make your own lemony shrimp and bean stew. Also, I guess it was Saturday, I was getting ready to watch some football and also some baseball. You know, it's playoff times, and it's the Dodgers versus the New York Yankees. What a matchup. Let's go Dodgers. Although I grew up a Yankees fan, I'm going with the Dodgers this time.
Well, I'm going with the Yankees, so that's
perfect.
It's like Hellman's and Duke.
Exactly. No reason for us to agree on everything.
I know. And I really could say the starting lineup of the Yankees before I said Mom and Daddy. And I could do it right now. Little Joe Pepitone, Bobby Richardson, Tony Kubek. I could go on and on. Mickey
Whitey
Mantle,
Ford,
Roger Maris,
Mickey Mantle,
yeah.
Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
I grew up. I was the same. I grew up in that same era with the Yankees. They were so dominant back then. But now there's more parity and lots of great teams. And so anyway, I'm pulling for the Dodgers because of Janet Marie Smith, the great Jacksonian, who's now the number one baseball architect in the world, and she is now working with the Dodgers. And she got me a tour of Dodger Stadium last time I was out, in L.A. So I'm going with Janet Marie Smith.
Profession to be a baseball stadium architect. That's just so cool.
And a graduate of Jackson Public Schools and Mississippi State School of Architecture. There you
Wow.
go. One never knows.
Hey, Mal, I just I can't believe you're famous. You're quoted in Southern Living this week.
I'm not often quoted in Southern Living, but there was a piece about the Mayflower and the history of the comeback, the legendary comeback sauce.
And, I mean, you have become the authority, the national authority on comeback because you wrote the entry in the Encyclopedia of Southern Culture. That was a while back. So you are the go-to guy.
Yes, well, I'm happy to be such a person, and I was really lucky. I got this interview way back when from a longtime employee of the Dennery family, and I was able to go to a source, as it were. Roy Milner, a longtime employee of the Dennery family, was actually there at the rotisserie during the time that the comeback dressing was created. So Alec Dennery, the great Alec Dennery, is credited with the creation.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about the Greek families of Jackson and the whole comeback phenomenon. Well,
we were fortunate that a family or two of Greek immigrants settled here and invited their family, extended family, and friends to come. And at one time, all of the finer white tablecloth, upscale dining restaurants in Jackson were Greek immigrant or Greek American restaurants. You can name them: Primo's, Dennery's, the Fisherman's Wharf, People's Cafe, the Mayflower, the Elite, Elite. But they were all owned and operated by these Greek families. And what Mr. Mike Contouras told me a long time ago was the reason these folks got into the restaurant business is because they did not speak very good English. So the jobs that they could find were in the kitchen. And so many of them went to work in the kitchen. And, of course, they grew up with the great Greek culinary background of the seafood, which, of course, they all were on islands. And I think Patmos was the island from which the Contouras and Gouras family, the originators of the Mayflower. But they opened in 1935 on Capitol Street, and they're still there today. And thankfully, Hunter Evans and his crew have taken over the Mayflower with the help of former Jackson Mayor Kane Ditto and lots of other people. And there is a revival underway.
Yeah, I loved it that there's a guy named Frank that's been at the Mayflower for 32 years, and he makes the big batches in a 70-year-old Hobart mixer.
Starting by making the foundation, which is making mayonnaise, and then building on the mayonnaise into the comeback.
Well, everybody has their little different twist on the comeback. And, of course, I was a Hal and Mal's comeback person, still am. And I really congratulate myself as one of the people that caused you to take the bottles of comeback off the table.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, at the Mayflower, they put them back on the table.
Uh-oh.
They're there if you want to go.
Well, I'll tell you guys what happens is, a group of friends, we would go get a table at Hal and Mal's and get saltine crackers and down a bottle of comeback on saltine crackers, and it just would irritate your brother.
Yeah.
He would be so irritated. With money going down.
He would say, "We're losing money here.
Yeah, we're losing money." So
every table's eating an entire bottle of comeback.
Yeah, and so now you have a little nut cup,
small
cup with comeback. But one more thing before we leave this subject is, I love the quote by Chef Hunter Evans about comeback. He said, "Comeback sauce is a culture, not just a sauce."
Like this show.
It's a culture.
Culture of Southern flavors. Well, I'm excited about our guest today. Leigh Bailey has long been a friend of ours, a poster on cooking and coping, a great home cook and operator of Salad Days in Flora. And they've just had a massive expansion did a big groundbreaking last week. So she's going to join us after we go on a break and tell us all about the new and improved Salad Days operation in Flora, Mississippi. And we look forward to getting Leigh on the radio and having a conversation about Salad Days and their hydroponic operation. Greatly expanded.
Yeah. I love how many people on Cooking and Coping use her product.
Love it.
I think it's great, and there was so much great stuff on Cooking and Coping this week. And one thing that really struck me was one of our posters named Christy McComber. I don't know where she's from. She had this sad picture of her last tomato sandwich of the season. I think that really resonated with a lot of people.
Speaking of tomatoes and the closing of one season and the beginning of another, I try to grow fall tomatoes, and I have 2 tomato plants in the ground right now. Wilder helps me water them regularly, and his tomato plant's name is Lulu. And Lulu and Lulu's companion both have 2 or 3 small fall tomatoes on them. So we're going to do what we can to keep them going. My friend Malin McAdams out in Bolton has just planted his winter tomatoes, and David Patterson and Melissa Patterson out in Canton have just planted theirs. So Malin told me when we were talking about tomatoes last week, he said one of his favorite things is to try to have a homegrown vine-ripe tomato by Thanksgiving. And if he can do that, he considers his gardening a success.
As would I.
Yes.
As would I.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Leigh Bailey. Very excited to hear about what's going on in Flora and with her operation Salad Days. And we'll be happy to entertain your calls if you're interested. It's 1-877-672-7464. Or if you'd like to shoot us an email, that's cool. It would be food@mpbonline.org. Carol and I will be right back with Leigh Bailey and Wilder Malcolm from more Deep South Dining.
Do you look forward to Mondays? You do if you...
On MPB Think Radio. To call the show, dial 1-877-MPB-RING. That's 877-672-7464. Or email food@mpbonline.org. This is MPB Think Radio.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Carol Palmer, Malcolm White, and Wilder Malcolm Webb is also in the studio this morning. And we have a fabulous guest, one of our favorites that we follow and keep up with, and are so excited about good news that she has. Leigh Bailey joins us this morning from Salad Days. Welcome, Leigh.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Always great to have you.
Flora, Mississippi.
Yeah. So y'all had big news last week.
We did. We had a big groundbreaking ceremony that is celebrating our new project that's about to kick off. We're ready to start moving some dirt on a 65,000 square foot greenhouse facility.
Leigh.
It's a lot of greens.
I tried to just wrap my head around that because you have 20,000 feet now, right?
A little less, like 18,000.
18?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine anything bigger than what you already have.
It's going to be about 3 times the growing space that we have currently. It'll be about an acre of the growing area, and then some of it, the extra square footage, is a support space of seating and packaging and coolers and all of that. But in a 3 times the space, we expect to produce 7 to 8 times the amount of product, just because of the efficiencies that are going in. There will be automation, conveyor belts, things that people are doing, and we'll still have plenty of people around, but the things that we can save steps and time, and people that are now currently carrying in totes of lettuce, picking by hand, carrying them into the packing room, packing by hand, a lot of that will be able to be saved time and steps by riding it in on a conveyor belt.
So this is hydroponic lettuce,
Yes.
and kind of explain the mechanics of hydroponics.
So hydroponics is growing without soil. So it's in water, and all of your nutrients are dissolved in the water. So the plants are getting exactly what they want delivered to their root system 24/7. So when you have a plant in the ground in the dirt, the roots have to really stretch out and look for the nutrients, and that's why you get a much bigger root ball, and you're also not as efficient with your use of your fertilizer and your water, because a lot of it runs off and the plant can't use it. But with this very efficient system of delivering exactly what that plant wants to its roots every minute of the day, it can grow quickly and very uniformly, and it's very sustainable because you're using a lot less water, a lot less fertilizer, and you're taking up very few amount of acres to do. We can do, in our 18,000 square foot facility, we estimate that we're producing about 6 acres worth of outdoor.
You know, I think last time you were on the show, I mentioned this. It just blows my mind. But in early 60s, I'm going to say 62, 3, 4 in there, my next door neighbor in Perkinston, Lil Hayden, she was the wife of then President J.J. Hayden of Perkinston Community College, Perkinston Junior College, but she had a hydroponic garden on her courtyard. Back then,
She was ahead of her time.
she was growing tomatoes and peppers, and I just remember as a kid thinking how odd that was, but then it seemed rather normal to me growing up, but I didn't see a lot of it again until, currently. I don't know how popular hydroponic gardening is across the country and the world.
It is really gaining ground. The United States is, I would say, behind the curve. Europe and Asia, places that are more land constrained, have gone to it sooner than the U.S. has. We've been blessed with a lot of available land here to do outdoor ag, but now the U.S. is facing the shortages of water and the weird weather patterns and labor problems and just on and on and on. So it's really, it's the thing of the future. It's the way to cheat Mother Nature out of coming and ruining all your crops. And when you have a roof over your head, it really helps, and it's, it cuts down on any kind of pathogens and wild animals being in your crops, and just the food safety is much, much, much better, and then you just don't have the wild swings in the weather problems. And
It's almost like you're domesticating farming.
it is.
Weird.
It is.
Well, Leigh, Malcolm and I have both known you for years, and I mean, I think of you as a Renaissance woman. You have a lot of interest,
or easily
several
bored.
careers.
One or the other.
Yeah, easily bored. How did you get into hydroponic farming?
Well, Jamie, my husband, Jamie Redmond, who is from Columbus, Georgia, and when we decided to get married, we'd been long distance dating for a couple of years, and decided to get married. And he decided to move to Mississippi. We had a back and forth of, will I go to Georgia? Will he come to Mississippi? But he decided to come this way, and we were both career real estate brokers. We were in commercial real estate in 2 different states, obviously, and when he moved, he said, I don't see how I'm going to just start over in Mississippi as a real estate broker. I don't know anybody, and so I'm going to have to think of something new. And I said, well, it's time for me to have something new too. And I had a plant background from way back in my career early. My first thing I did was a plant business. It was called Foliage Design Systems.
Oh, yeah. We used to work with you on some of my early restaurants.
Yeah.
You would do the interior greenery.
And come in and water them, and
week.
if they started looking bad, we'd take it out.
I've forgotten about that.
I did too.
So it's organic for me to have a plant background, although I'm not, officially trained or educated for it. It's all self-taught. But anyway, so Jamie and I started looking at ideas of what we could do as a second career, or maybe in my case, maybe third or fourth career. But we came across this article about hydroponic tomatoes that were being grown in North Mississippi. And the farmer up there we contacted, and he was very kind and let us come see what he was doing. And he said, well, I'm selling from here. He's in Pontotoc, Mississippi, and he was going north towards Memphis. That was his real market. And so he said, y'all go right ahead, do this. You're not going to be in my market area. So we came back and I started talking to all my chef friends and saying, if I can grow this stuff, will you buy it? And they all said, heck yeah, we'll buy it. Bring it on. So.
Well, with this enormous expansion, you must have an ever-expanding market. I mean, talk a little bit about the growth of your, I guess it's wholesale business. You're not really a retail business.
We're not a retail business. We have too many heads of lettuce coming out of there every week to be able to do it one by one. Right now there are 27,000 heads of lettuce in the greenhouse at all times, at different ages. And hello to my crew that's packing and picking for me this morning while I'm here. But we just can't. We have to sell them in bulk. And we do package for retail that goes into, fruit stands, grocery stores. It's all around the metro area. You can go to our website, and there's a little store finder if you want to buy just a head of lettuce. But mostly it's food service packed, and it's going into the restaurant world. And we have several great distributors, but we've been being contacted for years from other big distributors. I mean, Kroger is one, and Cisco, and AWG, who's supplies a lot of grocery stores, and none of those kind of customers want to buy enough for one store or one. They want 20 stores or 40 stores or 200 stores. So we've been turning people away for years, and it just didn't make sense to work as hard as we work and to produce a great product that is scalable. It's just we wish we were 20 years younger, but we're not. So the old dogs are learning new tricks, and we're just moving on.
Saturday I was shopping in Vicksburg. I ran in Corner Market, which that's a great chain of Mississippi stores.
We sell to
and
them.
they had a whole display, like a whole case with the lettuce facing out, and I thought that's really
well.
cool.
And they're a Mississippi-based grocery store chain, and doesn't it just make sense to sell Mississippi-grown produce? Yes, and they recognize that, and we really.
But
love
it wasn't just like sitting in the produce section, which is cool too. But they made a big deal.
They've really been good to us and marketed us, and we try to do the same for them.
Well, you're in Whole Foods, I know, because I shop there, and Kroger and other places as well. Corner Market. We
were in Whole Foods, and we are not
currently.
In Whole Foods. We hope to be back. When Amazon bought Whole Foods, they changed some of the insurance requirements. They about quadrupled the amount of liability insurance they wanted us to carry for just that one store. Was the only one we were servicing, so it didn't
Wasn't
make a lot
worth
of
it, yeah.
sense. But as we go into this next phase, we'll be carrying all the highest limits and able to sell to anybody at that point. So we'll be back.
Yeah, and that's too bad they did that because it really cut out a lot of the small farmers
It did.
that they used
It
to
did.
that they used to deal with.
Well, there's a lot going on in Flora besides what you were announcing. So can you talk a little bit about the Flora renaissance, I guess? would
The
be good?
Flora food scene is just growing all the time. We have great restaurants. We have great farmers, producers. In fact, I brought a little sample salad for y'all today. This had the extra added challenge of figuring out what is a breakfast salad. And if you Google breakfast salad, there are actually quite a number of recipes. I had to leave the egg off. It wanted a soft-boiled or runny fried egg on the top, and I just couldn't figure out how I was going to get here with that in any good form. So we stopped short of the egg, but I brought some Flora ingredients. I've got Flora Butcher applewood bacon on the salad. I've got
It's a Flora breakfast
it's
salad.
a Flora breakfast salad, and it's got I want to know if you've ever heard of a North Georgia candy roaster squash.
No, but
Winter
I'm
squash.
excited to learn.
So this is from Two Dogs?
This is from Two Dog Farms, and if you've never seen one, I should have brought a whole one. It's about this long, about
about 24 inches.
at least. Some of them bigger. They look like a torpedo. They're pointed on one end. They're a beautiful kind of apricot color, and then the ends are a green, like they've been dipped in green paint. They are
Wow.
exquisitely made squash, and they're somewhere between, I think they're sweeter than an acorn or a butternut, somewhere between a pumpkin and a butternut and a sweet potato. So they're orange flesh, sweet, nutty. So I roasted up some candy roaster, and that's going to be on the salad. And we've got cinnamon toast croutons and a maple vinaigrette.
Yes.
Now, was the maple vinaigrette from Railroad Pizza?
Actually, I had to whip it up
You
yesterday
whipped
because
it?
she
Yeah.
wasn't open yesterday when I started trying to dream up how we were going to have a fall breakfast salad. So I just used my organic maple syrup I had at home. But
Got it. And Malcolm, this has been a new discovery in my Flora journey. I'm quite the Flora shopper.
Oh, yeah, you're
and
very
I'm
close.
hoping that you brought like champagne from the
should have.
from the wine shop. But anyway, like Railroad Pizza has like 20 salad dressings, and they make them
It's insane.
all
she just
from
and
scratch. And
adds
if
a
you're-
new one every week.
Yeah,
It's-
and you're sitting at the table eating, and I say, well, could I take a pint home? And they go back to the back and make it up. It's so fresh and so
really
good.
very creative in her dressings. You should go to Railroad Pizza, and there will be something for everyone. I promise you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about the salad, so because I'm so excited, we're going to go ahead and take a break so that Leigh can get the salad ready so that we can experience what she just described. We're very excited to have Leigh Bailey on the show this morning from Salad Days in Flora. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Welcome back to Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. I'm chewing, Carol.
Malcolm,
I'm having salad.
have you run into one of the croutons yet?
Yes, head on.
I'm holding my salad up for the camera. Leigh said that she had to slap Jamie's hands. He was in the croutons last night.
Oh, I bet he was.
They're easily snackable. I think I can make another batch of those.
Well, talk to us. We'll talk lettuce. Talk to us about the croutons.
Okay, the croutons are simple. Gambino's bread cubed up, and then I did just a melted butter, cinnamon, sugar, and tossed them all, and then toasted them up in the oven. And you know that Gambino's just gets so good and just crispy, and it's
That's
the perfect.
squash.
The squash
It's like a butternut.
It's creamy. It's really
Okay, the name of it again.
North Georgia Candy Roaster, and it is an heirloom squash from the Cherokee Nation.
Wow.
And the seeds are so that they value them so much that because the shelf life of these things, when you pick one, it'll last 6 months, just room temperature in your house. And so the Cherokee Nation was served well by these squash during the winter when they, needed something to eat and hearty and filling. And so they still save these seeds, and it's very, very valued crop, but kind of little known. I mean, I really want you to look up a picture of these squash because you just won't believe what it looks like. But they are available at the Two Dog Farm store right now. So
Well, they're fabulous.
They have wonderful heirloom products.
They do.
We did a lot of their okra this summer, all different varieties. The
reds
mm-hmm.
and the candy roaster also makes a fine pie. I sub it in for my sweet potato, and it's a delicious pie.
A couple of questions from listeners. One, someone stopped me out in the hallway and asked me if you grew iceberg, and his point was a friend of his in California had told him that most of America has no idea what iceberg tastes like because by the time we get it here, it has no taste. And that when it's fresh grown and coming out of the ground, it has a very delicious flavor. And then the other listener asked, does Salad Days grow bib or butter lettuces? Those are his favorite.
Yes.
That would be Thomas Williams from Nashville that sent that question in.
Bib is one of our staples. We have beautiful butter lettuce, and everybody loves it. That's our biggest retail product. Everybody wants the bib lettuce.
So is bib butter?
Bib and butter are interchangeable. Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
And as far as the iceberg, it's an interesting question. We decided to try it a few years ago because you can grow anything in there. The thing about iceberg is, I don't know if you've ever seen iceberg growing in a field, but the actual leaves of this thing will take up 3 feet of space. And all you're really going for is that center of it. And so it takes up a ton of room, and if you crowd them up too much, you're going to get disease, and you don't get the air circulation and all that. So it's not a friendly product if you're trying to count every square foot in the greenhouse because it just takes up too much room. But to answer your question, it does taste better and different. It's what we grew was very delicious, and iceberg that you're used to in the little cellophane pack in the store is just basically a vessel for dressing.
Yeah.
For the wedge.
Yeah, just for a crunch, you know.
Yeah.
But have you ever had a bib wedge?
I haven't, but I sure would like to.
It's a really nice substitute. Railroad Pizza does it. Lou's Full Serve does it, and it's
So it must be a lighter dressing.
Lou's uses a comeback on theirs, but they use blue cheese at Railroad. So it really the middle of the bib is very crunchy and dense. So if you cut it in a wedge, it'll stand up. And
I had no idea it would hold up to that type of dressing.
A bib wedge is a great thing.
Okay.
You
I'm
heard
putting
it
that
here
out.
on Deep South Dining, Malcolm.
I'm going to go to Lou's Full Serve now that he has moved out on to Parkway.
Yes.
He's closed his Bellhaven store, and he's combined the sandwich shop and the Full Serve into one establishment out on
Highland Colony in the township.
In the township. So go check him out. I'm hearing really great things. I hear it's busy as it can be now that he's done the full
I'm
conversion.
not surprised. We're trying to get a night to go soon. And
That's Louis LaRue.
It is
LaRose.
indeed.
LaRose, yes.
Malcolm, I'm just all about the breakfast salad.
This is fine. Look,
And I
you
feel
think
like
Wilder likes it?
we're crunching too much, but
how would you feel about an egg being on there?
ooh,
I feel strongly pro.
I
Yeah,
feel
I'd be
pro
for it.
too. Although
Okay.
I'm happy, just like it is.
I think it would be an interesting ad with that yolk, and I think it would be good. But
And a little warmth wouldn't hurt it.
So, Leigh,
Delicious.
what for you? How do you make the perfect salad? I mean, this is so fluffy, and I mean, do
well,
you
it
have,
all starts with the lettuce, of course. You're fighting a losing battle if you're buying a bag of cut lettuce that came 3,000 miles in a truck. So start with good lettuce. That's number one. Always toss your dressing on there. Never blob it on top. It's got to be evenly distributed. These are in my book as the salad
this
queen.
is the book I want to know. I want to read.
I have to, as you can imagine, anytime we're invited to go to someone's house for dinner or to anything where it's a bring something, you can imagine what I am always assigned. So, and I feel like I should have a big repertoire. So I go back and forth from sweet and savory, and always like to have a nut. I love to have a little fruit in there, but if I go the savory route with tomatoes and cucumbers and bell peppers and that stuff, I don't want the fruit. It kind of freaks me out to have a cranberry next to a cherry tomato. I don't know why, but that's just me. But it's...
Freaks you out to have a cranberry next to a cherry tomato.
I just don't like fruit and vegetables. I mean, but that's a vegetable, so I guess that doesn't really make sense.
We got squash over
But
here
the
with
squash,
the
has some sweetness to it.
Some vegetables are different than others, I guess, in my...
Well, and this lettuce is, in these beautiful little bite-sized pieces. So you tear.
Well,
do you tear or cut?
I actually cut that. Our lettuce it's the growth habits of the varieties that you're eating the spring mix right now. So that's got some red oak leaf and it's got some green sweet crisp in there, and they grow in smaller leaves. So it's not giant leaves like a green leaf or a bib, they're frilly little small leaves. So the chefs really like them when they're making their salad from our big box of lettuce they get in. They can just cut the root off. I'll go back and say we do sell everything with the root still attached. And we take off most of the root, but we leave about 1 inch of root on each head of lettuce, which increases your shelf life when your refrigerator shelf life, I need to add, because some people think when I say that it's just on the counter, but it does need to be refrigerated. But easily one of our heads of lettuce is good for 2 weeks and probably a lot longer than that. It looks just the same 2 weeks later because it's alive.
Can you take those roots and pop them in the ground?
You can.
Grow your own lettuce?
Had a number of customers.
You're putting yourself out of business.
I know. And I feel like, if they can do that, more power to them.
Right.
And they'll be back eventually.
Right. Of course they will. So, speaking of chefs, Derek Emerson is out there. He's your neighbor, and he's been working on this barbecue joint in Pocahontas. You got any intel?
Excited.
You got any intel for us on that?
So excited.
People keep asking me
when.
When?
That's the $64,000 question. From all indications are in the next couple of weeks, I'd say the last I heard him say a week ago was 3 weeks-ish.
Okay.
So that gives him a little leeway. But they're working on it. I saw this morning when I drove by coming here, I saw a big sign banner they've put out, opening soon. So they're starting to, and they've got all their pinball machines in, and they got shuffleboard court painted out there. They've got all kinds of games. And
yeah, he said it's going to be a family,
just a family,
really family
patio
atmosphere
outside. can't wait to see what the menu is.
And Derek's such an interesting guy. He said he had to do something to entertain himself,
something fun.
Open a new
I think
restaurant.
I'll open up a Texas-style barbecue in Pocahontas.
And he's been, smoking brisket, all these things for months, trying to,
his
trying to
family
perfect-
is just dying. They're like, if we have to eat any more of this.
Now, I got a pastrami, a chunk of pastrami from him a few weeks ago. It was so fun.
And he shared it with me. It's one of his experiments. I mean, this is not his finished product. And oh my gosh, I've never had pastrami like that.
Well,
really good.
If Derek's doing it, it will be good, and it will be different, and it will be I don't know if he's still got plans to do this, but he mentioned having a pho on the menu with all his smoked bones to do the broth, and
that would be fantastic.
How nice for wintertime to have a
I saw one on Cooking and Coping yesterday that somebody did, and I mean, never in my wildest imagination that I thought there could be a little Vietnamese pho
why not?
coming to a place near me.
Not just your regular old pulled pork and beans and slaw, but
no.
And Derek is very clear that this is going to be a Texas-style barbecue, and there's a huge tradition of Texas-style. It's brisket, sausage.
It comes from
beef
the German.
ribs.
A lot of beef ribs. It's not Memphis. It's not St. Louis.
Right. Those Germans came to Texas
Alabama.
and brought it.
It's not North Carolina. So really excited that he's drilled in. And speaking of which, I had lunch, as I told y'all, at the Pig and Pint the other day, and I think they've been expanding and maybe are about to open up future stores. That place has really got it going on in Fondren. And I guess that's more of a Memphis style, if I had to.
They have
Missouri style.
great stuff too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we in fact we had our mind on some ribs from Pig and Pint last night, and
nothing else will do.
Well, it was sad they weren't open. I thought they were open on Sundays, but we didn't find them open last night, so we didn't get those. But next time.
So, we were chatting before the break about the Flora restaurant scene. Give us sort of a recap. You've got the Flora Butcher, the wine shop, the Railroad Pizza. Now, what's in the Meat and Three place that was there? I think it's something different now.
Well, the Meat and Three that was on the corner,
was
right?
the BBB.
Triple
B.
Okay, there's nothing there that's permanently open. That's where David Raines is doing his wine dinners, and those are just you just buy tickets. I think he's doing 1 or 2 a month of those wine pairings and different menus, and really good. It's fun, and so if anybody's interested in doing that. And then Bill's Creole and Steak is right behind that building.
Now, was it the first one of all these to open, Bill's?
I mean, there have been restaurants before Bill's in Flora. There was Howell's, that was where Railroad Pizza is now. There was a Meat and Three and breakfast place, but Bill's was kind of of this wave of restaurants. Yes, he started out just with crawfish, and then started adding on to his menu, and he's got quite an extensive menu now.
Yeah, and you can buy his stuff frozen at the Two Dog Farms Market.
Mm-hmm. You get his comeback dressing. I heard y'all talking about comeback. Bill makes a mean comeback. It is really
What
good.
about the pizza place? Do they make a comeback?
They make a comeback, and theirs is great too. It's just different.
You could have the battle of the comeback.
We
in downtown
could.
Flora. It
We
could be like a
could.
gunslinger
And
standoff.
Annie M's restaurant also, she does a comeback. I know she does a remoulade, which I really like a lot. And then there's the Blue Rooster, the burger place up there, and Bless This Food Catering, and she does some takeaway food. Like if you want to go grab a lunch, little plate, you can do.
Yeah, they also do home meal delivery too.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
So has this revival of restaurants and good places to eat, has it affected the real estate and sort of the population growth of Flora / Pocahontas / North Madison, I guess you would call it?
Jamie and I have lived in Clinton for 18 years. I was there before, but and we wanted to move to Flora because, I mean, goodness, we were living in Flora whether we were sleeping there or not, So we've been looking for a place for years, and it's very, very the real estate market is wild and crazy. If you find something you like, you better buy it right now because it's not going to be here tomorrow. But yes, the feel of the town is there's a lot of activity. The John Deere Ag Up building just got finished, and they just got moved in right at the 4-way on Main Street, and beautiful building. And then we are moving from our current location up to the Flora Industrial Park, and
Right.
and there's a real push to try to make that more of a kind of a food related hub. Kind of Tony's Tamales is now in there. So anyone out there that's considering a food related business that would fit in the industrial park in Flora, they are ready to talk to you.
They're ready to talk turkey.
You know, I think about Malcolm and his time with the Mississippi Arts Commission. And Malcolm, your big thing was the creative economy. And you did all this work on that. You would go speak in different
I'd speak
places.
to anybody who would listen.
Speak to anybody who would listen. But
Let me tell you something
you would
interesting.
You would talk about all you need is one or two things to make a creative economy, and that's just what y'all have done.
The other thing we did, and you were at the Arts Commission when we did this, was that we brought culinary in as an art form and began to make grants to and honor that. But I was watching social media clips the other day, and I heard the governor speak at the Mississippi Tourism Association conference, annual conference, and I swear to you, he used, exactly the words that I was using to talk about tourism and the Mississippi story and how we need to all tell our story and how if we tell it, we'll get it right because it's our story and all this stuff. And I just was sitting back there going, wow, that's pretty cool. Somebody on his staff was listening.
Somebody listened, yeah.
Yeah, because, driving through Flora only a few years ago, it seemed like a bunch of empty buildings and a bank.
That's right. And I think they still call it a speakeasy. It's called Parlor 1886, and it's a little night spot.
Wow, where's that?
That's directly across the street from from Flora Butcher and his wine shop. So on the other side, and it's very unassuming, like the speakeasy kind of feel with the little recessed doorway that you wouldn't really see. The signage is very small but it's fun. They have some live music in there, and great cocktails and a little bar menu. And so just, you never know what's popping up in Flora.
Before I want to talk just a little bit about the business end of this. When you and Jamie had this idea, how did you move forward with, your economic development people in Madison County, or where did you go to get off the ground?
Well, in what I call the Salad Days OG, which was what started we're almost 11 years in now, and that was just shoot from the hip, try to get a loan. We got an SBA loan, and just tried to do it bare bones. We spent a lot of time researching and educating ourselves and trying to figure out, do we know what we're doing? Do we know enough to even do this? And some people said we were crazy, and we very well may still be. But this time around, this is a whole different level when you go to a 65,000 square foot facility and the very advanced equipment. And so we have put together a whole stack of capital raise. We have an investor piece, we have some bank funding, and we have some sub debt, and we have some grant money. We've gotten a couple of grants, and so it's sort of a complicated way to raise the money to do something like this. But we have a great partner, Alan Lang, who's helped us a ton, and he's very, very adept at doing that part. And so that I don't know, we wouldn't be where we are today without him on this project.
Right.
So we're doing the growing and the selling, and Alan's helping us with the financial end of things.
Well, you know what they say about a crazy idea. If it's not a crazy idea, it's probably not a good idea. So most everything I've ever done, I was told I was crazy.
Somebody told you not to.
Or that I was going to lose my money.
Yeah.
So what's the timeline?
We are awaiting a permit right now from the DEQ. We hope maybe someone in DEQ land is listening and we'll speed that up. But we're going to be moving dirt as soon as we get that.
Okay.
Well, great. Leigh, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Leigh Bailey with Salad Days in Flora, Mississippi. Great friend of the show, and thank you so much for the salad, for the breakfast.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yikes, that was good. Deep South Dining is a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio. We are funded by generous contributions from listeners like yourself, and we thank you. Our show is produced by Marissa Vaughn. For Leigh Bailey and my co-host Carol Palmer, I'm Malcolm White. We ask that you now stick around, stay tuned to Marshall Ramsey's program, Now You're Talking, followed by Southern Remedy at 11. And please join us every Monday and every Sunday right here on MPB Think Radio for more Deep South Dining.